Hey guys, I've had one of those weeks that you don't want to have. Been busy, been tired, and I may have had my first ever panic attack. So I missed a couple videos. I know that I try to do twice a week, and I missed a few. And then I just wanted to do something relaxing and calming, and so I thought the Brandon Sanderson Tag. One of the things I've been enjoying lately is the Mistborn Era 2 series. I'm currently listening to the third one. In about a week and a half, I've listened to two of them, and I'm really, really enjoying the interplay between Wax and Wayne, and it's been so much fun getting to learn all these side characters, Marcy and Bands of Morning. I think we're going to see Steris a whole lot more. So I'm really, it just, it worked out. My Cosmere video I put on Reddit, and a lot of people went and watched it. So wanted to just do the Brandon Sanderson Tag, calm down. Kids are doing a sleepover at grandma's house tonight. So just enjoying this. I'm gonna film it real quick, edit it, and get it up tonight. And I wanted to relax. Me and the wife are gonna hang out, maybe watch a movie or two, and relax. So this is my relaxing book tag. Not a whole lot of research, but just kind of chatting with you guys and talking with you guys, and so wanted to do that. So starting out, Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space did this really cool tag about Brandon Sanderson, where they're doing Stormalong 2020. It's a whole lot of fun. Way of Kings, right here, is an amazing book. They're reading it right now. They're doing live streams and stuff like that. So she was doing this tag for that, and then she tagged me in it. So here we go. Brandon wrote a lot of novels while working a late night desk at a Provo hotel. What book kept you reading up late into the night? For me, that's actually one of his books, Words of Radiance. The last 150 pages of Words of Radiance had me on the edge of my seat. I remember it was 3 in the morning, and I was like, I have to stop reading, but I can't stop reading, and I kept going. Ended up going to work with like an hour of sleep that next day, but I just couldn't stop. It was just too darn good. Number 2, Brandon's complex magic system set his fantasy worlds apart. What subject do you love to read about in all of its complexity? Well, for me, it's religion, if it's done well, and space travel. Two of my examples are the space travel in Leviathan Wakes. It felt real, felt like we could be here in a couple hundred years. They created the Epstein drive and are able to do not faster than light travel, but much faster travel than you would normally get. Made us move around our solar system a whole lot faster. And it was very exciting to look at. Like the space battles were interesting and technical enough that it satisfied that itch for me, but also probably not so crazy technical that normal lay people who don't care about that kind of stuff would enjoy it. And it was great. And then the Lightbringer series created a magic system around Orhorlum and Lucidonius, and that magic and the way that God was interlaced with magic, and how we had a subset of gods who controlled the bad parts of our nature, and our Horlum wanted us to come together and harness the good parts of our nature, and it was woven through the whole story very, very well. And it really came to a head here in the last book, where not spoiling it for you, but just it came together so well in this last book. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I look on the Reddit every now and then, people go, well, it seems very Christian-y. I was like, well, for me, that's a positive. For some people, it's probably not, but I enjoyed the way it came together in the final book of this series. Number 3, Brandon gets a lot of his ideas from other authors not executing a story well, and then he figures out how to do it better. What are 2 stories that approach the same idea from very different angles? I have these 2. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss and Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. This one, both of them actually, are a story told of someone's life. This one's a little bit longer because he's about 1,000. Kavoth is not that old, but a chronicler comes and gets Kavoth's story, and he gives it reluctantly. And then Hadrian, he tells his story. It's an autobiography of his 1,000 years and all the things that he's done before he's getting executed. So the the way that this story is told, I enjoy a whole lot more. I love Name of the Wind. It's a beautiful story, written beautifully. I enjoyed every moment of it. There were parts, especially around a musical instrument, that I just found myself just going, man, how did he write this so beautifully? But, and maybe it's recency bias where I like this one so much more, but it just felt like more was done. A shorter time period than this one, but this one had so much more in it. It was packed with more character. I mean, they're the same size book, but it just, the characters in here were so fun. We moved to different worlds. Eventually, you move here as well. I know. I've read book 2 in this one, and I haven't read book 2 in this one, so we'll see how I feel coming up next month when I read book 2 of this one. But I found this story so much more enjoyable, and I hope other people give it a try because it is great. Child Brandon was recommended so many books about where dogs die. I'm assuming that's Old Yeller and Where the Red Fern Grows. And Christy was saying, tell us a story about either a bad experience with reading or a good experience with reading. So for me, that is going to be my mom's encouragement of me for reading. She was very strict and didn't like TV. She would only let us watch movies on the weekends. So during the week, it was reading or sitting and doing nothing. Or, you know, I mean, I played with my brother a lot. There was the two of us boys. But there were times where she told me that I would be in my room with a flashlight reading, and she'd be like, I better not catch you in there reading. And she was encouraging me through that, you know, what do you call it? Reverse psychology. And it encouraged me to be a lover of reading and enjoy reading so much. And she would always put interesting stories in front of me. So my mom was that person that kept me excited about reading and taught me so much more about it. Question 5. Brandon is part of the Writing Excuses podcast, which frequently invites guests onto the show. Tell us about a collaborative project that you enjoy. Sorry, I had a hard time saying that. I wanted to go over wild cards. I did a video on it a while ago, and I don't know if many people know about this one. Sorry, this chair is super squeaky. This is, all the characters are written by a author. So when the author writes this character, they write him or her for the entirety of the run. So, you know, you have the character, and as that character continues on in the story, whichever book he or she is then always written by that person. And so when that character is brought up again, that other author comes in and writes that character. So you're not 100% sure who is writing this, but it's really, really neat to see, you know, George R.R. Martin has edited it all together to create this overarching story. Generally, they run in trilogies. I've got a few of them. I've read so many of them on my Kindle. And they're so much fun. They've got the recent series have come up to the modern day. Initially, it started. This book was like 1950s, and then it progressed forward steadily to like the 70s and 80s, and then because that was like the current time period. And then, you know, as they continue to come out with sets of these, the stories have gotten closer and closer to our progression. Like the one that I read recently. One of the main characters there was a young black boy who was getting profiled by the police. But he had his lower body was a snake, so he's, you know, normal size, but he has no legs, and he has a snake's lower half as his body. And they were really, really fun, engaging stories. There's a character in here that's almost immortal named Croyd, who I love. One of my favorite characters of the whole series. He kind of pops in and out every time he comes in. Basically, his idea is when he goes to sleep, he changes. So like his body he looks different every time he wakes up. So you see him come back and forth, and, you know, it'll be like a little throwaway line where it'll be like, hey, who are you? It's like, I'm Croyd. And you're like, hey, it's Croyd. But yeah, this series is a lot of fun. Number 6. Brandon's first book, White Sands Prime, was eventually turned into a graphic novel. What book would you like to see in another format? For me, I really enjoyed the Witcher video games. It's what actually got me excited to come and play to read the books. Not play the books, read the books. And so I thought they've tried a Dresden TV series, but what about Dresden Files, the video game, and made it episodic? And you could have, maybe like a Telltale Games took care of it, or another company where we released, and you had an episodic idea where Harry Dresden was going through being a wizard. You could be Harry Dresden, and side characters could come in. I think it worked great as a video game, kind of a detective magician noir kind of thing. I think it would work great as a video game, and it'd be fun. Number 7, Brandon writes very quickly, who is a prolific author that you would like others to know about? For me, I would say Harry Turtledove. I don't hear a lot of people talk about him, but he does some amazing things in alternate history that I've really, really enjoyed. And I also have heard that he has some wonderful fantasy stories as well, with dragons and all kinds of stuff like that, that I'd love to get into as well. I've bought a few of his books lately, trying to get into some more of his stuff. He has a series that I'm going to start reading here really soon, where during World War II, aliens attacked, and we all had to basically come together, even though we hated one another. The Russians, the Nazis, us. Martin Luther King is a big part of that series as well, where we had to repel the aliens, and we formed said, hey, let's have peace real quick. We've got to defeat these aliens because they're coming to get us. So he writes a lot of cool stuff like that. One of the ones that I read that I just totally loved was How Few Remain, which is a alternate where the South won the Civil War, and then they were expanding down through Mexico to get a transcontinental railroad. And because of that, Abraham Lincoln, his presidency was considered a failure, and a bunch of things like that were like the different, the North did not want the South to get a transcontinental railroad, and then that continues on in the series. A couple of things like that. Harry Turtledove has, everything I've read of his has been great, and I really enjoy his work. Question 8. Brandon's Cosmere universe is grounded in Platonic philosophy. So what book gets you really excited about the source material? For me, The Wheel of Time is so much fun to see the influences that Robert Jordan pulled from. He basically took a bunch of things, put it in like a blender, and pulled them out again and reattached them in a way that he found interesting. So you could tell he was a big fan of Tolkien. You could tell he was a big fan of Dune. You could tell he was a big fan of Asian culture. And it was really fun just to find the source material that he was pulling from, taking this and that and pulling like little things and tying them together and creating something new. And that's why the Wheel of Time is so much fun for me, because you can find like a piece of culture that he's gone, oh, okay, I'm going to take from this, but I'm also going to add this. It's like I'm going to take Asian shoguns and add it to medieval culture, or all these things that he does. I was trying to think of a good example, and off the top of my head, I'm just not doing it. But as a Wheel of Time fan, it is so much fun to find his things that he goes through. He creates a wise wizard out of a beautiful woman, that kind of thing. It was just really, really fun to see the way that he created the Wheel of Time series, and I loved it personally. So that's the one I would pick. Number 9, Brandon loves to show multiple sides to a story and to show contrasting points of view. Who is an author that you think handles controversy pretty well? I think Stephen King does a pretty good job of it. He gets a little bit of grief for things like the ending of It, which everybody is like, why would you do such a thing? He writes horror in a way that makes people uncomfortable. Some of his stories very heavily address racism through, if you've ever listened to one of his audiobooks, so you're kind of nervous because you're gonna hear the N-word, and you're like, man, I like, so that controversial kind of thing that you're hearing from Stephen King, but he approaches it in a way that he's trying to highlight how awful racism was in the 60s and stuff like that. How he wants to contrast how evil is created. Some of the things he does, I don't always agree with, but I think he does a good job of handling controversy. Some of the things I've seen on Twitter where he said something and people misconstrued it, and he's come back and said, no, this is what I meant, usually very well. I don't always agree with him, but I think he's handled controversy pretty well through his career. Number 10, Brandon Sanderson also teaches literature, how to write fiction and things like that. And he posts all of it online for free, unlike some people. What are some free resources that you enjoy? So, for me personally, I love my local library. I go there as often as I can. Corona has really frustrated that. Usually, before the virus happened, we were going about once a week as a family. We would go, we would check out books, we would enjoy time together. Me and my daughter would play chess. My son always wanted to check out what was going on in the computers. They just really enjoyed finding different books. I love the local library. BookTube has been an amazing boon for me. I found so many books that I don't think I would have ever come across. Really, it's just been a beautiful place to find people who like things like that I like, and to give me such great recommendations. I haven't read a very bad book in a long time that I've gotten recommended from someone else. Now, I did enjoy Aliens Among Us, but nobody recommended that one to me. But it just, I've found so many great recommendations, and you get to know people. And so when you get to know them, you're learning what they like, and you learn, hey, they really like this thing, and they're telling me why they liked it. I trust their opinion. I'm going to use their opinion to have fun with a story that I enjoy as well. And that's something that's beautiful. So for me, my library and BookTube. All right, time to tag some people. I'm going to tag the Bearded Bookworm. I know we have talked a few times about Brandon Sanderson. He's a big, I know he's a big Way of Kings fan. I don't know if he's read the whole series yet, but I'd love to hear his take on this. Gaia Athena is one of my favorite YouTube friends. She always gives the best comments. She's a Dutch booktuber, and sometimes she just does wrap-ups. I'm not sure if she'll do the tag, but I'd love to tag her in it. And Final Blow Joe. I know he's read some Sanderson stuff, and I enjoy his take on tags. We've got a very similar reading tastes, and I'd love to see what he does with it. So that's what I've got. I love you guys. Please subscribe if you want to. Some Cosmere videos I'll link up above that I did one on shards. So if you're curious at all about the god system in the Cosmere, you can go ahead and watch that as well. Talk to you later. Bye.